the last 2 years. There's no question about it. Jordan Hicks is a guy, hard to believe he's a 7-year vet. I remember when I was down in Texas and I got to see him play for the University of Texas. Feels like it was 5 minutes ago. Can't believe he's been in the league 7 years at this point, but a very talented linebacker. He said it himself. Playing alongside Eric Kendricks was one of the main reasons that he chose Minnesota in free agency. He's really excited to play alongside Eric Kendricks, and, with the departure of Anthony Barr, there is a void to fill there, and Jordan Hicks believes
unless there is something to work out.
I
think it's kind of wait and see at
You're
this
Mr.
point.
Glass is half full. I'm the opposite. So,
all right, so what do you?
They need the money to work with.
Yeah.
That's number one. That's priority
Anthony
number
Barr
one.
leaves.
All right, hang on here. So do the Vikings need Anthony Barr, or can they survive with Kendricks and this new acquisition? Can these two survive? Because, right, they both come in 100 tackles last year, both had career-high interceptions. So do you need Anthony Barr, or can the Vikings survive with Jordan Hicks and Kendricks paired together?
I think the short answer to that is yes, they can survive without Anthony Barr. I mean, is he a talented football player still? The answer to that, I would say, is yes as well. My leeriness with Anthony Barr is the injuries have started to pile up over the years. And he missed some time last year. He missed time the year before that. It makes me nervous to give bigger money to a guy who has had injury history these last couple of years.
And I'm going to take the other side to that. Because with Anthony Barr, that's a pure pass rusher if you put him at the outside linebacker position in a 3-4 defense like the Vikings want to go. Jordan Hicks is a middle linebacker. He's played in a 3-4. He's played in a 4-3. He talked about making that versatility work here in a multiple defense that the Vikings want to put on the field. But with Hicks, you can't just say, oh, you've been a middle linebacker your entire career. Oh, how about you just move outside and try to rush after the quarterback? I think that's easier said than done. I think that Anthony Barr is still a valuable piece for the Vikings defense, as would be Patrick Peterson, another guy that Hicks spent time with his time in Arizona. But at this point, it's going to be interesting to see what they do at that outside linebacker position, because they have two guys who play the same position right now. But would you move one of those guys to the outside?
The money would have to be right, and I just don't think the money is going to be right for Anthony Barr to return to the Vikings.
All right, we'll speculate more about we'll speculate more on what's going on here, but let's talk about Harrison Phillips. Comes from the Bills, a defensive tackle, 3 years, $19.5 million. So the Vikings putting a lot of money on the table for this guy. Basically, is this just a trade for Michael Pierce, or is this an upgrade? Pierre, you start.
Yeah,
they had the line of the press conference.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
I've never once in my entire life
heard
you mean
the fire hydrant at the dog show?
As a fire hydrant. Yes. Yeah. I've never heard that before ever. So that certainly caught my attention. I would say lateral move. Michael Pierce was certainly a talented guy. His problem was just availability. He missed the entire 2020 season because of COVID. He held out in the 2020 season, missed time last year. Harrison Phillips is a mauler. He said to us that, he grew up wrestling. He likes the one-on-one, the physicality is where he thrives off of, and you love hearing that from a defensive tackle. He sounds like he's going to do pretty well here.
It will be interesting to see, though, what the Vikings are doing at defensive tackle, because in a 3-4, you only got one.
Right.
Can he make himself versatile enough to maybe play that thicker defensive end who can help get after the quarterback? Because he's been described as a run stopper, but he said, no, I like to get after the quarterback too whenever I'm given that opportunity.
Sure.
And this is a guy who's coming from a great defense in Buffalo, and he said that he learned a lot under Buffalo defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, who, of course, was a head coach here in Minnesota. He said that he's learned a lot from him, and he said it's not all about the stats. He's down to do the dirty work, clearly with his alliteration there, describing himself as the fire hydrant. But I think he really wants to just help this defense as a whole get better. He knows that he has to put in the dirty work to try to make everybody else look good.
Yeah. All right, so what happens here? We've heard the talk of Danielle Hunter that they want to renegotiate. If he doesn't do that, they're trying to find a trading partner. One, would anybody take Danielle Hunter because they could just wait for the Vikings to cut him if they're really stuck? Or do you think they work this out? We saw Harrison Smith redo his deal, so he stays. Where does this team find some more money? Because there are more pieces that they need before they start the season. Hobie, go.
It's definitely a tricky and delicate situation, I would say. Yeah. But Danielle Hunter, they've talked about him. Ed Donatel, the Vikings defensive coordinator, said, I can see him playing outside linebacker, playing on the edge in this 3-4 scheme. Now, that transition from playing with your hand in the ground to standing up like that, is that a quick fix or a quick adjustment? I really don't know. But whenever you talk about the talent level that Danielle Hunter does bring to the table, yes, he's only played in 7 games in the last 2 seasons, but he still is a talented player when he is on a football field, especially if you are losing Anthony Barr to free agency.
Yep.
You have to find a way to keep number 99 around, in my opinion.
I would tend to agree. I'm a little, in terms of trying to find a trade partner, maybe create some more money under the cap. I don't know if there's a lot of teams that are really eager to do that right now with the build that he's carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And the
especially
injury,
for a guy who hasn't played a lot.
Exactly. For the injury history
years.
that he's had the last couple of years, it makes me a little nervous if I'm a guy who's trying to trade for him. I think if I was a GM on another team, I would be willing to wait out to see if they will cut Danielle Hunter, and then I would go from there to see if I can get him on my team if I really wanted him. But I think, yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. So if I had to guess, I think Danielle Hunter is going to be a Viking this year. But I don't feel great saying it.
I will say this, too. We talk about Kirk Cousins, and I've said this to people who say, well, Kirk Cousins, they need to move on from him. My question to them is, well, who are you going to have play quarterback?
Right, exactly.
My question with Danielle Hunter is, if Danielle Hunter goes and you don't find a way to work this thing out, who are you going to put at defensive end / outside linebacker? I think that's another position where the Vikings really need to shore up, because at this point, he really could be their best player by far on defense.
All right, last thing for you. Letter grade on free agency to this point. Pierre, what do you give him?
C+. I mean, there's only so much you can do at this point with the limited resources you have financially. Nothing has really moved the needle for me.
Right.
I don't feel any better about this team today than I did 4 months ago, to be honest with you.
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I'd put it right in the middle of the road, because the one thing I will say, for good or for bad, whatever your perspective is, the quarterback situation is under control right now.
Yeah.
The Vikings know who the quarterback is going to be heading into the 2022 season. Now, it's managed. That's a great way to say it. That's a great way to say it. But as for splashy moves, they haven't done so, and also they're handcuffed. But again, they haven't kept their key pieces, especially on defense, their free agents, in-house, which is something that I think needs to be addressed. But like we've been talking, you got to find the money to be able to make that happen.
Right.
Exactly. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate your input. Always precise and concise. We love it all the time. Follow us all the time on Fox 9 Sports on Twitter, or these guys have their own accounts. Check them out as well. And we'll see you back again soon.